Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Orbit motion for Kamara, but an inside handoff to Kendre Miller. He's getting pushed by Fuaga, still on his feet, inside the 5. Now the whole scrum has pushed him into the end zone for the touchdown.
Mike Hollis on the call. Saints got on the board first with Kendre Miller, a guy that was ready to return, and Dennis Allen put him on IR. Boy, there is an E! True Hollywood story or ESPN 30 for 30 to be told about that someday, the relationship there, the icy relationship with Kendre Miller and Dennis Allen. But, you know, it's one of those things where Darren Rizzi came in, said he gave everybody a clean slate, had a one-on-one with Kendre Miller, and boy, did Miller maximize that opportunity. One of my big takeaways. Just 10 carries for just 32 yards, but that touchdown run, the balance on a sideline run, if you watch the game, Miller was heading to the sideline, spun back in, dove to the sticks, great awareness and balance. I had a 31-yard kickoff return as well. Really, really nice day for Kendre Miller. By the way, here was Darren Rizzi on Kendre Miller's return.
Kendre, again, is showing you why we drafted him where we drafted him. He made some really, really dynamic runs, I thought. You know, Kendre has the unique ability of making an 8-yard run look really, really good. You know, making people miss, getting some tough yards. And again, just a small sample there. But again, the touchdown run he has where he just keeps his, power. And when I talked about in the beginning of the week a change of pace back, that's really what I was talking about. You know, a guy that can just have a little bit of a different style. And that's a big deal. You know, with losing Taysom, we don't become one-dimensional with Alvin. We have another guy that can get us some tough yards. And so you saw the flashes today of the athletic ability. That's the guy we knew we were drafting.
Saints won 14-11, and make no mistake, these were two bad football teams. And that was a bad football game. But somebody had to win. Like the rules literally say somebody has to win, unless if they tie. But that's pretty rare. So somebody had to win. And the Saints did. So the Saints moved to 5-8. Some of my takeaways from the game, there was good and bad. And while I understand the Saints mathematically are still alive for the playoffs, I do not believe that is realistic, especially now with Derek Carr's injury. I didn't believe it before Derek Carr's injury. The Saints, for all intents and purposes, would have to win out to finish 9-8 and get a little help as well. You don't control your own destiny. So I'm more looking at the remainder of this season to say, right, what can we learn about this team to build on for the future? And there's some things I really like. For example, Bryan Bresee had a monster day against the New York Giants. He batted 2 balls at the line of scrimmage. He had a sack. He now leads your team, by the way, with 7.5 sacks. He's tied Leroy Glover on the single-season sack list for the New Orleans Saints. Like, that's a big yo. They've been a bad defense, and it feels quiet, but Bresee's had some moments. And then, of course, he blocked the field goal at the end of the game to win it for the Saints on one of the most athletic plays you'll ever see from a big man, where he hurdled the center. Remember, you can't use leverage, so he couldn't put his hands on the center. He just had to hurdle the entire line, which he did, and blocked the field goal and won the freaking game. You invested a first-round draft pick in that guy a year ago, and he is materializing and developing into someone that you feel like can be a stalwart in the interior of that line for a long time. Here's Darren Rizzi on Bresee's day.
And really the last couple of weeks, right? And we talked about that during the week. He's a guy that's just, I feel like his best football is still out there. And you see this flashes of brilliance out of the player between the pass rush, the field goal block. He's made a couple of huge plays a couple of weeks in a row. You're seeing a lot of the reasons, we drafted the player. We drafted Bryan in the first round, And so these are some of the things. We talked about some of the things he can continue to get better at, first, second down. But, man, his pass rush, his field goal rush, those things have been outstanding.
Now, Bresee's blocked field goal was a great part of special teams, but for the most part on Sunday, special teams was a fiasco. Blake Grupe missed a field goal. At the end of the first half, Blake Grupe had a field goal blocked. You allowed a punt return for a touchdown that was called back because, as we mentioned, these are two bad football teams, and the Giants had an inexplicable holding penalty that wouldn't have affected the play, but negated a return punt for a touchdown. It was so egregious in every part of the execution that your interim head coach, who, as we mentioned, is also the special teams coordinator, threw his hat and undressed the rookie punter as he walked off the field all the way to the side. And it was so blatant that Alvin Kamara had to come over and separate Kendre Miller from Matthew Hayball. God bless Matthew Hayball for that moment. But I'm not mad at Kendre Miller at all. It's football. Go yell at your guy if you want to yell at your guy. It was a pretty unspectacular day on special teams, which was not good to see. But again, Bresee made the play late to win it, which was fantastic. Maybe the most disappointing part of the day was the offensive line, because we've talked about the impact of injuries on this offensive line all the way back to the start of the season. First 2 weeks, you were leading the NFL in scoring. Your offense was unstoppable. We now know that happened against Carolina and Dallas, and neither of those teams are worth a flip. So, big part of why you were as good as you were. But as soon as Eric McCoy went down against the Eagles, boom, everything changed. Then Taysom went down against the Falcons, and boom, everything changed. And you scuffled. This was the first time that you had your starting offensive line back together since week 3. And, man, you just weren't good. And you were facing a Giants defensive line that didn't have Dexter Lawrence, who's the most disruptive interior player statistically in the NFL this year. Dexter Lawrence wasn't there. You had your healthy offensive line, and you averaged 2.8 yards per carry. Massively disappointing day. I think Taliesin Fuanga played the worst game of his young NFL career so far, and you had hoped for better. With 4 games to go, we'll see if all these guys can remain healthy, if they continue to play better here over the final month of the season. And, of course, the biggest part of this was the Derek Carr injury. And I loved the effort by Derek Carr. You know, it's 4 minutes to play. You're up 14-11, so you're up 3. You got the ball. It's 2nd and 10. Carr going to the sideline, and then went airborne, landed hard, broke his hand. We now know his left hand, his non-throwing hand, suffered what appears to be a concussion as he's in the protocol right now. I love the effort. I don't love that he went airborne on 2nd and 10. You're right at the sticks. Go out of bounds or stay in, let the clock run. I guess the clock would run anyway because it's 4 minutes to go. And you got 2 downs to get a yard. Derek Carr gives you your best opportunity to win games. I don't think you're going to win many games the rest of the way anyway, but that's certainly a disappointing part. Listen, there were other things. Our guy Ross Jackson over at LouisianaSports.net every week does a numbers to know piece where he gives you some impressive stats and numbers from the game. Like, Pro Football Focus credited the Saints with 1 missed tackle. 1 missed tackle. Remember how much of a bugaboo that was during that 3-game losing streak. Or the 7-game losing streak, but without Derek Carr. The Broncos, the double-digit missed tackles. The Chiefs, it was atrocious. 1 missed tackle on Sunday. There were some incredible parts of this as well. Chase Young had 10 quarterback pressures against the Giants. 10. That tied a career high. I thought Alontae Taylor played a really good game. The numbers bore it out. Allowed just 2 catches on 6 targets. Forced a 58.3 passer rating when he was targeted. Alontae Taylor had a beautiful breakup on a play on the sideline where it looked like Malik Neighbors was going to make the catch. Taylor fought him to the ground, pulled the ball out. There are some really nice things to like individually that, as you look forward for this team, are encouraging. Bresee, I mentioned Alontae Taylor, Kendre Miller. These are going to be the building blocks for the Saints moving forward. As you continue to draft, as you continue to hit free agency, to rebuild this roster into what we all hope can be a contender. So you want to see these young players continue to play well, and a lot of them did. The terrible part is you couldn't finish the game. I mean, you're up 14-3 in the fourth quarter. You allow a bomb to Malik Neighbors, a short yardage touchdown, the 2-point conversion off a deflection, and just like that, you're in a dogfight even after you got the interception from DeMario Davis, which looked like it was going to end it. Darren Rizzi said, look, I mean, the way that game ended, it should have never gone that way.
We've got to do a better job of finishing games. We get the ball back there at the end. We don't get a first down. We come up on third and short. We don't get the first. We got a punt, and we gave it back to them. You get the ball back, and I think we had 2 situations today where we got the ball back with a chance to kind of end the game, and we didn't do that. So that's where we got to be better. But our defense clearly in the first half was much better than our offense and special teams, and held them to 3 points, and that's why we were in good position. So
defense is good against a very bad Giants team. The challenge increases exponentially with Washington coming to the Superdome this week. We'll see how they fare. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.